We do our taxes once a year, so we do it periodically. We try and get as many deductions as we can, so we give the smallest amount possible, and we regard everything else left over as ours to do with as we wish.
Yeah.
And we do that in the spiritual life with God.
Do you think Christianity is hard or easy?
I think it depends who you ask.
Yeah, actually, as I say that, it also depends what you read. You get very different pictures in the New Testament.
Yes. I mean, in one place, Jesus talks about it being really easy. He says, "Take my yoke upon you. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light."
Oh, it sounds pretty nice.
But then a little later, he says, "If you're meant to be my disciple, take up your cross and come follow me." And that sounds less fun.
And this isn't an a la carte deal, is it?
No, you have to get both. I mean, how do you reconcile those two?
This makes me think of G.K. Chesterton. So Chesterton obviously is a huge influence on Lewis's life. Mm-hmm. His book, The Everlasting Man, played a big role in Lewis becoming a Christian. And Chesterton is big on paradox. And he points out that at the very heart of Christianity is a paradox. You have this creator of this universe, enters into his creation, and becomes dependent on one of his creatures, Mary and Joseph. And that's the same thing with this. I believe it's a paradox. I believe it's both. I believe Christianity is hard and easy. Look at it this way. Grace is free, and we know that. But it's not cheap.
No.
It's free in the sense that you and I are completely offered, to no avail or to none of our merit, the divine life. And that's beautiful. That's awesome. That's such a gift from God. But at the same time, for you and I to accept that divine life, to say yes to it with everything we have, that costs absolutely everything. So much in the New Testament says you have to lay down your life in order to pick it back up. You have to there's a death in rebirth. You have to die in order to receive new life. And we're all fallen creatures, and we're called to be sons of God.
And that reminds me of when Jesus says, "Be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect." Lewis says that isn't saying that in order for me to accept you, you have to be perfect. What it's saying is that if you accept me, I'm not going to stop until you're perfect.
I love that.
And this means that there's going to be a transformation process. And that's going to be kind of painful, not least because we have to kill our favorite part of ourselves, our ego.
I love that part about myself.
My ego is awesome.
It is really hard to actually let that go, though. And it's amazing because so often it's natural feeling, but we want to just give God our due and then hope he leaves us alone.
Yeah, but that's not how it works.
No. Honestly, I want to say unfortunately, but no, fortunately that's not how it works because we're so much greater.
Sure, but we treat God how we treat our taxes.
So we talked about dying, now we're going to talk about taxes.
Death and taxes go together. I think that's okay.
You're right, so only two truths in life.
But if you think about it, we do our taxes once a year, so we do it periodically. We try and get as many deductions as we can, so we give the smallest amount possible, and we regard everything else left over as ours to do with as we wish.
Yeah.
And we do that in the spiritual life with God. We turn up to church on Sunday, and we throw a few bucks in the collection plate, and
getting our deductions,
and we expect the rest of our time to be entirely our own. We don't want God to interfere with us on the remaining 6 days of the week.
Isn't that true, though? How often do you hear homilies that talk about, don't let what you hear on Sunday stay on Sunday? But the reason that's a big homily is because that's what we do. It's like, that's that, this is me. So I've given that part of my life, and now it's to my normal part of my life.
And that's not how Christianity works.
No.
That's not how any of this works.
No.
When you accept Christ, he won't leave you alone until you are another Christ.
No, and all of this makes me think of our favorite book of all time, at least from Lewis.
Great Divorce.
The Great Divorce. He is just so brilliant. It will rock your world. The whole book is about these different individuals, these creatures that they're on the precipice of heaven. And they're met, each chapter is a different individual that is met by an angel that offers to help that person get into heaven. But the person has to freely choose it. In every single chapter is a different story of a person who can't fully accept heaven. Parts of it maybe, but they always have their own terms.
They want to bring something with them.
It's exactly right.
In the opening pages, Lewis says that you can't bring all luggage on all journeys. Some things you have to leave behind.
It's like when you pack for a trip. It's so hard to pick what you can have and what you can't have. But there's a chapter that really sticks out to me, where in the chapter there's this individual and it has a lizard on his shoulder, and the lizard represents sin. And the angel says, this can't come in here, so can I kill this? So first, before even going into this, I love that the angel asks, can I kill this? He's not saying I need you to work really hard and kill this. He's saying, can I kill it? You just have to say yes. And there's a struggle, though, for him to say yes, because it's scary.
Well, he's afraid he's going to die.
Yeah, he is.
And the angel says, no, you won't die, but it's probably going to hurt.
It's going to hurt. That's that ego part again, honestly, going back to earlier. And eventually he says yes. And what I also find fascinating is after he says yes, it's not like it's just yes and done. There's a process. It's painful. And even during the process where it hurts, he's wrestling with, do I stop? Maybe not anymore. But he eventually goes through with it. And the lizard becomes this magnificent stallion. And the stallion is what he ends up riding into heaven because he was willing to let go.
To let it die and to rise again, so to speak.
Yeah, and all of this makes me think of an incredibly beautiful story that a teacher once said. In this other country, in a third world country, there was this beggar on the streets. And the beggar is, at the end of the day, he's trying to get as much rice as he can. He's had a very poor day, and he's got 8 grains of rice. But he sees some hope happening. There's a procession coming down the streets. And he sees the prince on an elephant riding down. He goes, okay, this is my chance to get some more rice. And the prince comes up, stops, gets off his elephant, and comes to him and says, can I have some of your rice? And of course the beggar is thinking like, wait, what? This doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. But of course he obliges. And he says, you can have 4 grains. And so the prince goes in, takes his 4 grains, gets on the elephant, and goes away. And at the very end of the day, the beggar goes into his rice container, they call it, and feels around. He feels some hard stuff. And he notices there's 4 golden nuggets for every grain of rice. And he thinks to himself, if only I had given him everything. Mm. If only I'd given him everything.
We say Christianity is hard and easy. It's hard because we have to give some things up, but we think it's easy because God's going to give us grace to be able to do that. But also that when we look back, we'll see what we've given up and see it as nothing in comparison to what we've received.
I want to get to the end of this life and know that I gave it everything, not part of it. I don't want to know that I have 4 grains of rice left inside my tin.
Mm-hmm. Give everything.
To giving it everything.
Cheers.
We want to thank you for watching this. David and I are incredibly passionate about the Christian faith. In our journey, we found there to be such truth and beauty in it. And if there's anything you disagree with, if there's anything you're struggling with that we just haven't talked about, we invite you to share that in the comments, and we would love the opportunity to address that, to do a video on it. Because if you're struggling with it, probably others are.
And if you are an excellent sort of person who wants to go to heaven, please share this link.
It's that simple. We offer you heaven for very cheap.
But seriously, if you found one of our videos helpful, if it has helped you grow in your love and understanding of Christianity or C.S. Lewis, please share it with your friends. See you next time.
Further up.
Further in.
Cheers.